Sander Rotmensen von Siemens, der heute Vormittag ja schon gesprochen hat. Director of Industrial Wireless Communication bei Siemens. Eigentlich sollte seine Kollegin Jasmin Heller-Gamble sprechen von Siemens, die jetzt leider zeitlich verhindert ist. Aber der Herr Rotmensen wird es genauso super machen, wie es heute Vormittag auch schon der Fall war bei seinem Vortrag. Und diesmal geht es um das Thema 5G und PROFINET.
Nur noch eine Frage, Deutsch oder Englisch?
As you like it.
Let's take English today.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Dann
Thank
bitte
you.
schön.
Okay. So welcome everyone. Again back. 5G. So now we have learned what 5G is. Let's talk about what we can do with 5G. And what should we do with 5G in a factory? We should communicate industrial protocols, right? So for Siemens, one of the most important ones is PROFINET communication. And as we probably have heard today a couple of times, I mentioned it, and I think a couple others as well, is that it's still difficult to transfer industrial protocols over a 5G network, because industrial protocols are not made to be transferred over a cellular network, and cellular networks were from the beginning on not developed to communicate industrial protocols. They were for video calling, internet, voice calls, and so on. Let's talk about PROFINET first. So what is PROFINET? PROFINET is based on standard Ethernet, industrial Ethernet. It started with 100 Mbit. Who still has 100 Mbit in his house? I think some people will already say, okay, I've already gigabit, or I've got Wi-Fi 5 or Wi-Fi 6 at home, I've already at a higher standard, but that's all we need. We do not have a high demand for the communication protocols we have in industry. Because we're not talking about huge amounts of data, we're talking about small telegrams being sent reliably and real time as quick as possible over a network, and best case with barely any latency. So real time and deterministic, and it's also based on IT standards. So okay, if it's based on IT standards, why doesn't it work with 5G? Because 5G is an IT technology, right? Yes, that's right. But somewhere, some building blocks are not in place. So I've displayed this before. So where are typically the most exciting applications, as I said this morning? And for who remembers, was it massive machine? No, it was ultra reliable low latency communication. For everyone who was already awake this morning, 99.999% reliability, with a latency of less than 10 milliseconds. Maybe to give you a number, on a wired system, we're typically at 1 to 2 milliseconds for a PROFINET system. On a wireless system currently, we can achieve 16 milliseconds, depending on how many wireless channels we use, how many free channels I have with Wi-Fi, how many devices I have in a network, how many handovers, or as we call it, the Wi-Fi roamings we have between different access points and so on. So 64 milliseconds is typical for a somewhat decent sized scenario. But 5G has this promise of 10 milliseconds, and it's only possible because of the spectrum I talked about earlier this morning. So but what kind of applications do we see then? Because I didn't show any applications this morning. It's because I knew there was a second presentation coming. Here, if we put 10 on the slide deck, and yeah, I could have put 50 or maybe 75 or 500, I don't know. But marketing told me, Sander, 10 people can only handle 10 things at the same time. So that's why we have only 10 on there. We have scattered them a little bit around on the triangle. I know we didn't do this by playing darts, or like just feeling where it is. I didn't ask my 7-year-old, who remembers from this morning, where do we put an AGV and where do we put augmented reality? So probably she doesn't know what augmented reality is. She does know what an AGV is. Do you know what an AGV is? Have you ever been in a theme park? Have you been in a ride vehicle? That's an AGV. Did you know you were sitting in a machine? Did you feel safe? I see lots of people. Siemens technology, possibly. So it's actually true. So, but those are actually in this area. Low latency, high reliability. I want to make sure it's safe and secure. So if you jump in any theme park in a vehicle, you want to make sure that when something happens, someone throws a stuffed animal out of a vehicle and wants to run after it, you want to make sure the system stops immediately when something dangerous happens. Why do we use this theme park example? Just to show you how delicate it can be when something can go wrong. And we've done a lot of theme park rides, believe me, and all with wireless LAN, and maybe in the future we'll do them with 5G. But only in the future, because today, PROFINET and 5G don't really go together. Because we have certain challenges coming ahead of us. So, PROFINET is the standard for real-time transmission in industrial environments. I think over 80% of the market uses PROFINET. And there's some other layer 2 based systems as well, but the challenge is it's based on layer 2. 5G, or any cellular technology today, is a layer 3 network. To transmit a layer 2 message, which doesn't include any IP address data, over a layer 3 network, I need IP addresses, which is layer 3. So how can I fix this? And you could look at this as sending a letter. If you just have a letter where you write, "Dear loved one," greetings, sincerely, whatever you write under it, and you throw it in the mailbox, where it's going to end up? In the trash. No one's going to do anything. But if you repackage it, and you put it in an envelope, and you write the proper address, the layer 3 on it, it might actually end up at the right spot, if you're lucky. I mean, how many of us already had a package missing ordered by one of the big shopping companies? But that's what we need to do. How can we transmit PROFINET IO package? By repackaging it. And PROFINET is necessary to have real-time communication between a controller and a decentral periphery, or distributed IOs. Because that's the only way we can handle this. And the problem is, the current 5G release does not support layer 2 communication. There's no way you can find a 5G end device on the market today, based on release 15, which supports the so-called feature called Ethernet BDPUs. I mean, Sebastiano left. We could have asked him. But this is something we really need to... Yes? Yes, it's working? Okay, awesome. So apparently voice is back up again. So even voice communication is challenging when you talk about 5G. Layer 2 communication, there is not such a device on the market today. So to have such devices, we need to do something. We need to develop something. And this is something we need to look at, like they're doing to the technology again at the moment. What we have done as Siemens, we have developed something to overcome this for now. And I'm specifically saying for now because this cannot be the solution we want to have for the whole area of 5G. We need to have this running into a native way. Everything is standardized. And you could do this with different tunneling technologies. So what we're actually doing, as I said, with the envelope, we're repackaging a layer 2 telegram into a layer 3 telegram and send it over the network. It's called VXLAN. Virtual Extensible Local Area Network Communication. And this is a nice picture, it's lots of colors. But here we actually describe how it works. So you have a controller there on the left side, the CPU, which is connected with a wire to in this case, a VXLAN endpoint, scale is SC600, that built up a VXLAN tunnel to up to 32 5G end devices. And we're able to communicate from that controller to 32 devices simultaneously with PROFINET. Because we repackaged the telegram. It's a great technology to get started, so we can really now try situations with PROFINET, even PROFISAVE if you adhere to some other things. But this is not the real deal in the end, but this is what we can do today. So what we've done is we've taken a technology solution, we've put something on top of that, and we have enabled this. Is that good? No, I think it's great because finally we can really start doing industrial things. And we see more of these solutions. This is just the way how we have implemented this. And these devices exist. So for everyone who hasn't shown up at the Siemens discussion, I have them here. Free firmware update. You could put VXLAN on it and you can start using it today. Some of the users here have already tried it. I haven't because I don't have a 5G network at home, but you can really do something with this today. And you can even go from one 5G device to the other 5G device, making sure they can communicate with each other. So you have maybe a mobile robot working together with an AGV on a factory floor. Think about the automotive use case, for example. You have a car body being transferred to the paint shop, to the body shop. But the door still needs to be mounted, so there's two mobile robots at the side driving right side by side with the AGV, mounting the robots at the doors while it's driving throughout the facility. Imagine this, and this can only be done with real-time protocols such as PROFINET, for example. And this is where this could be extremely helpful, and this will definitely boost the capabilities of what we can do with 5G in the factory. So this is a first step into the right direction. But we eventually need to have this in a standardized way built into the chip so everyone can do this and adhere to the 5G standard. So here a picture of the devices. I thought I'd show them for real. I thought that is a bit nicer. And these devices are available now. So if you want to try this out, if you have a 5G campus network, chat with me today, tomorrow morning, and I can help you with such devices. They're compliant with, I would say, every single 5G network vendor out there at the moment. So you don't have to ask me, does it work with this? Yeah, it will work. Because we followed the standard on 5G, and VXLAN is just something on top. So what does this bring to you? This brings new benefits with 5G to the shop floor, because we're now able to do something we couldn't do with standard 5G. This is something unique. This is not something we know from 5G consumer networks. This is something we only need in the factory, because we do not have layer 2 communication at home. We all do everything layer 3 and so on. This could help you save costs, because we've built it into one device. You don't need an additional device to create an end tunnel. So this is really cost saving as well. It helps you creating a more modular, wireless, and flexible production. And because you only have one device, it reduces energy consumption, of course. And the hardware components on-site an AGV or inside the cabinet are limited. Therefore, you have more space, or you could build smaller cabinets. And as always, 5G is a little bit fast. So you have 8 minutes for questions.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Cool, cool. Thank you for your second lecture at this day. Next time I will go to a theme park, I will remember that it's all
just
Siemens,
look under the
technology.
vehicle if you see Siemens technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a couple wireless plannings for them, so it's quite exciting to know which one run with wireless LAN. And I've tried all of the ones I planned myself, except for one, because it was in Tokyo and they had a 6-hour lineup. In Tokyo, they don't let you jump the line. So that's the only one I have never tried myself, but all the other ones I've tried.
You didn't say I'm from Siemens, I have to
no, that doesn't work
now.
there. My Japanese is not good enough.
I see.
I tried in Dutch, but no. No, that's not how it works, but yeah, those are exciting things. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions? Gibt's Fragen?
If you want to know which rides, I can tell you later. So this is. Have you ever thought of a theme park as a big factory?
No.
Until today?
Yeah, no. Really. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the reason I started in industry.
Really?
Yes, I was. I remember very well. I was in the Efteling, a Dutch theme park, and I was hanging outside of the vehicle. And my dad says to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking how this works." Yeah, then you need to do what I do. You need to start working in an electrical automation. I said, okay, is this? And then that's when I figured out, I was about 10 years old, that's when I figured out these are machines.
Okay, and it started in a theme park.
Started in a theme park, yes.
Cool. What I'm interested in is when we come back to the technology that you presented, or the solution that you presented, are there any limitations to that solution? So is everything that you could do with 5G possible also with this solution? That's
a fair question. So if there were no limitations, why would we wait?
Yeah.
So what we now do is we repackage a Telegram into another package. What we see is a higher as necessary network load. So we have more bits to communicate over the network. And we also believe the latency is a bit higher as with a native solution. Mm-hmm. But for the time being, I think this is as good as it can get. Mm-hmm. One of the benefits of the solution is we don't have one-to-one tunnels between the devices. We can have one endpoint for up to 32 devices at the field level. So I think that's a real benefit over using, for example, a classic way of tunneling with GRE or with a VPN tunnel. But it's still what is the things we need to work on is the latency topic, which just comes with this solution, and as well the data overhead we have.
Okay. I mean, there's no doubt that this is really a very important solution to combine these two standards, of course, no doubt about that. And you said it's available now.
Yes.
Are there already any companies who are using it?
Yes, there's a couple of companies. Unfortunately, I cannot talk about them. As usual, everyone wants to keep that secret. But we've seen some use cases in the automotive industry. One of the companies running a somewhat higher double-digit number of 5G end devices using PROFINET on a 5G network. We have a lot of proof of concepts going on, and we've seen some interesting possibilities to achieve with this solution as well for the future. But I can unfortunately not disclose any more information at this moment. Maybe next year Hanover Fair we have something more to say about that. Okay. It's pretty new. We've launched this solution out loud in public at the Hanover Fair this year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good. So let me check if there's maybe from the net community. There's no questions. So gibt es vielleicht doch noch die eine Frage oder die andere von Ihnen? No questions? Okay, so then thank you again, and if someone is interested or has any further questions, then don't hesitate. He's still here.
And tomorrow as well,
yeah.
but these stay with me. So
good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Have a nice day.